Every day, we're used to easy access to food. It's easy to believe everything's okay, and that hunger is only a problem during times of drought, and that it's only worthwhile declaring an emergency when animals and then people start dying. But we would be wrong. Chronic food insecurity exists and affects more than a quarter of Kenya's population. That means more than 10 million of our relatives, neighbors, and friends regularly cannot access adequate food or afford to buy it.
But if I have the power to choose whatever I want to eat at any given time, then that's the food security that we are talking about.
Are you wondering how you can learn more about food? Well, you're in the right place. This is the Chakula podcast, brought to you by the Root to Food Initiative, a show that celebrates authentic Kenyan dishes and serves you hot conversations about food in Kenya from an economic, social, and political lens. Sema nasi kwenye social media at Root to Food on Instagram, at Root to Food on Twitter, and Root to Food on Facebook. And now, here's your host, Felistas Mwalia.
Since 2017, the number of hungry people around the world has been rising again. And one of the major attributes to this is poverty. Today, I'll be speaking to a very interesting individual who's the CEO of Shamba and also a member of the Root to Food Alliance, who's working with communities in Kenya, specifically the urban setup, to ensure that they don't go to bed hungry. Karibu sana, Greg.
Thank you for having me.
It would be nice for you to share with us who Greg is.
Yeah, so Greg is a youth. He's an urban farmer and also a trainer on urban agriculture. We run a resource center based in Njiru Ward, Kayole Junction. And basically what we do there is that we try to capacity build urban communities. These include schools, youth and women groups, and individuals who have households on how they can start their own small urban farms and produce food primarily for household consumption. Yes.
That's really interesting, Greg. Perhaps you can also share with us, why did you decide to start City Shamba and why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so this came from passion and the experiences that I had when growing up. I have been brought up in the slum setting, somewhere called Babadogo here in Nairobi. And my experience with food is that food was never enough. For a start, we are so many in our household because sometimes I used to stay at my grandparents' place and we were this extended family, so food was not a guarantee. It was never enough and sometimes it was not there, especially lunch. 3 meals in a day was not a guarantee. So this was the experience and it was not an isolated experience. This was the same with my neighbors, with friends. In fact, I remember we used to depend on the school feeding programs. We really used to enjoy it when we are in school because we could get that plate of githeri. And growing up, I witnessing that we were also having a road fringe kind of agriculture, which my grandmother used to farm some maize, beans, and peas. So that was sustaining us for a moment. So with that experience, I would time and again accompany her to the farm and we would farm, and after some time we would harvest, and that used to at least cushion us against adverse effects of hunger. So after campus, I decided that to seek on opportunities that are there in terms of urban agriculture, what people can do, come up with innovative ways of how we can maybe produce food and try to sensitize people on how they can also start growing their own food. So that's when I started developing, of course, it as an enterprise, as an initiative whereby we want to educate people to at least start growing their own food. And since land was not there, I envisioned to approach it as a way of incorporating many people, as many as we can, so that many people can start producing their own food, because we could not go commercial in terms of food production in urban areas. And it has been a very fulfilling journey. We've done a lot of background research on urban agriculture, and also we've started also realizing some impact, and it's a good space that we are into, and I'm glad that youth from my area have bought into the idea and they are supporting it. So it's a very nice journey to where we are.
That's really insightful. At least you also have the youth from your area really supporting this whole idea. Are there any kitchen gardens that you've been able to set up, and which places specifically here in Nairobi?
Yeah, so we've set up gardens since 2019, and we've set them up in diverse regions in Nairobi. Food insecurity is not only a problem for the poor, but also it spreads to the upper classes, the middle income earners, because they might have food might be available for them, but if that food is not secure enough, it's not safe enough for their consumption, still they are food insecure. So we've set up gardens in middle income, in low income areas, and so far we have set up more than 300 gardens here in Nairobi, and we are still counting. We are still making more gardens as we are talking. We have people at the center who are still constructing these innovative and regenerative gardens, and then we take them to our clients.
Yeah, what have been the challenges?
The challenge first is the perception that people have in terms of urban agriculture and farming in the city. This has been the norm even from the government, the way that we've been set up from growing up, and the support that urban farmers have from government and other stakeholders and organizations. They focus on the rural farming population and neglect urban areas. This is because urban areas have been seen as areas where people come to look for white-collar jobs and not agriculture.
Yeah.
So agriculture is for rural. So changing that perception, even when we were kids in school, we were not encouraged, or agriculture was not even a career option for most of the people growing up. So that is one of the challenges, beginning with, of course, the perception. And then resources, accessing these inputs for urban agriculture is also another challenge, whereby you might want to start your farm, but you do not have where you can get maybe seedlings, where you can get soil, you can get manure to mix and start your own farm. So also getting these inputs for actually doing the urban agriculture is a challenge for those who are aspiring to start their own farms. Yeah. So, and also water, and we know that water in urban areas has been
a challenge.
Yes, and the ones that we have in the rivers have been polluted, and also lack of that information on how to start your farm, to just grow your vegetables, to take care of the soil, and to grow them organically. The information has not been passed on to as many people as it should be. And these are the challenges that we are at least trying to tackle, to show people that they can grow their own food. Space is also a limiting factor in terms of agriculture. And what we are doing is that we are trying to educate people to utilize the limited space they have. We believe that agriculture can go anywhere, can be done anywhere. So we are coming up with these very innovative vertical gardens that can fit in a very small space, and you can produce food that you can consume together with your family. So at least bringing also these inputs, we are trying to propagate seedlings, to propagate organic pesticides, to formulate organic fertilizer, so that we can at least grow food in a safe way, and also ensure that it does not also interfere with the health of the consumers.
Yeah, for City Shamba, how have you guys been able to overcome the challenge of water?
So for us, we have water in our center. We have boreholes nearby, and I'm glad that also the government through the NMS has been able to dig boreholes in slum areas, and they are providing this water for free. So we have a borehole near our center, and we've connected water because we're also doing aquaculture. We have fish, and we have to change that water 3 to 5 days. So at least for us, we have that water. But before it came, water was a challenge, and what we are doing is that we are trying to reuse the water that we had, for the water that would have been used for household chores such as cleaning clothes. There's a system that we called a grey water treatment system that we would use to cleanse that water to be safe for use in a kitchen garden. So that's how we were trying to to overcome the challenge of water. And it's also something that anyone can adopt. It was a very simple and basic system in our resource center. And we are also trying to sensitize the farmers who farm using sewage water, because our area that is Njiru Ward is the bedroom of sewage farming. All vegetables are being grown in the riparian area. You find that sometimes those farmers go and perforate the sewage pipes so that the water can flow into their farms. And we are trying to, although it's a hard thing, because you will be interfering with people's livelihood, and they do not have an option, of course. But we are trying to present them with an option, working with the county government, ward administrators, and the chiefs, giving them an option on what they can do to grow food in a manner that cannot compromise the health of the consumers.
It's quite interesting that you've mentioned at least NMS are really supporting what you're doing. Yes. Is there any other support that you guys are getting from the government, given the fact that last year the government announced how they will roll out a project on kitchen gardening? And have you guys gotten any support? Yeah,
so for us, we do appreciate the effort that is being done by extension officers, the government extension officers. Of course, agriculture is a devolved function, so everything that is happening in the agriculture has been devolved back to the county level. And these extension officers are there, and they are very much willing. They have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge and skills that they are willing to pass. The challenge maybe comes when on the funding and those people who are on the top. Agriculture is not really a priority for them, especially here in urban areas where so people concentrate on infrastructure and other types of development and neglect agriculture. I'm not sure. I don't want to say that I'm sure whether agriculture has a budget here in Nairobi County. What I understand they depend on is on maybe when other donors like FAO have a project, they work with them, they fund the projects. So but money is coming from the government itself, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but I don't.
You've never seen it. You've never received it.
So they do not allocate anything for agriculture.
In an urban setup. In the urban setup. Yes. And do you think that we really need to see cities to be part of a comprehensive strategy by the government to the fight against hunger?
Yes, I believe that agriculture is, and this is a disruptive idea that is coming up not only in Nairobi. If you assess other cities on what they are doing in terms of food production and food security, people are now coming to produce food in urban areas and seeking ways in which they can bring food closer to the people. Like in Nairobi alone, 80% of the food that is being consumed here comes from the neighboring counties. And in case of disruptions like we had during the COVID period, that meant that there was disruption in the food system and food could not come. And we have so many people here in Nairobi who depend on that food that comes from outside. So the solution to this maybe is to encourage people to start producing their own food at the comfort of their home. We should take agriculture as a culture. Something that anyone can do. You can be a lawyer and still come back to your home and farm your own crops so that you can get food from the comfort of your home. You can still be a doctor and come and have a small kitchen garden where you can get your vegetables and everything else that you need in your kitchen. A government can do a lot in terms of support and policy formulation to support people to start adapting and practicing urban agriculture, to grow their own food where they are utilizing the limited space they have, so that people can take back control into their hands in terms of food production. So there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of opportunities for urban agriculture, even for the youth in urban areas. We have this value chain that we cannot even exhaust, because you can get into value addition, you can of agricultural products, you can produce herbs, vegetables, you can formulate organic pesticides and be selling to other farmers in urban areas. So a government should really come in and consider supporting urban agriculture in urban areas. So even in other cities, I believe we are moving from the green revolution, the green revolution agrarian, of the 1950s, because it focused on monocultures and these huge plantations without considering, of course, the environment. But here lies the solution of people farming in the cities in limited spaces in controlled environments, whereby we can take care of the people, they grow their own food, and at the same time we can also take care of the environment, because when we are growing many people in small spaces, we can at least control whatever we are growing and also take care of the environment.
Yeah. Greg, when you started City Shamba, besides the struggles you went through growing up in a family, basically in your whole family, and you're seeing your neighbors really struggling to afford food, what are some of the gaps that you were trying to fill when you started it? And also, has the situation really changed in terms of like your neighbors being able to afford food, being able to access food? Has the situation really changed?
Yeah, so when we were starting, we wanted to bring food closer to the people. And one of the characteristics, of course, of people living in urban areas here in Nairobi is that lack of money directly translates to lack of food. Because, of course, we are not growing our own food. Food comes from outside, from farmers who are in rural areas or neighboring counties. So if for a casual laborer, maybe a mason, he would rise up in the morning, go to look for job actually the same day, and if they do not find the job, that means that their table will be empty for that day together with the family. So this is something that we want to encourage people. They can still grow their own food, and of course they can have food at the comfort of their tables, that at the comfort of their homes. That means that you do not have to look for money so that you can eat. Actually, that is one of the challenge that we wanted to at least tackle, so that when your stomach is full, at least you can have the energy also to go outside and look for money. The other thing is that food for urban people, for a typical family in an urban setup, the budget for food is almost 50% of the income the family gets. So if you are growing your own food, that of course will limit the expenditure, and you can divert this money into doing other things. So those are the things that you are trying to at least tackle, to close the gap on them, and also to produce safe food. We've witnessed in the past years documentaries and reports on how people are producing food using very dangerous chemicals, pesticides, and we have residues in the vegetables that we consume. Of course, that compromises the health of consumers, and we've also witnessed the rise in lifestyle diseases. This is contributed by the food that we consume. So the thing was we wanted to bring power back to the people, power for people to control whatever they are consuming, power for people to choose whatever they want to eat. And it's not like giving people handouts. If you bring to me a sack with maize, that you'll be choosing whatever you think I should be eating. But if I have the power to choose whatever I want to eat at any given time, then that's the food security that we are talking about.
And what has been the feedback and the impact? What has been the feedback and the impact?
Yes, from the people that we've been able to construct the gardens for, the feedback has been very, very positive, and people are very happy. We've also been able to do gardens for schools, a school in Kibera, and previously they were cooking githeri only for the kids, but now they would get vegetables 3 times in a week. So they would get vegetables in the garden that we set up, and then they would also add it into the food that the kids are consuming, and that is of course adding the nutritional content of the food that they are consuming. So those are the impacts that we have. We've also been able to employ 8 people under City Shamba who are taking care of the aquaculture farm, who are taking care of our vegetable gardens, who are constructing these gardens. So that is also impact. And the 300 gardens that we've also constructed around Nairobi, that is good impact, and the feedback is very positive from the clients. They are eating, and actually we have referrals, and we have more people who want to add. If in case they find space, we have many people who want to add the gardens. also it's therapeutic to interact with soil, smell the earth, and so they are very happy actually once you can start your own farm, and it has been positive.
Yeah. And in the communities you work with, has the situation really improved at their household level?
Yes. So it's very basic. So for like where we are ourselves, we know the vegetables we consume. If I want to eat today, I'll just go to the garden, take my vegetables, and go home. Same with the people who are surrounding us. They come to the center, get very clean, safe vegetables that they are sure of, and they can go back home and eat something that they know is very nice. So for the other people also, we are doing follow-ups with them to regenerate their gardens once maybe a period is over and they need to regenerate. We bring in fresh organic manure. So we change the soil. We advise on how what to plant next. So the people are very happy, and the community is very happy, and they are really embracing urban agriculture.
Next time you should bring for us some of those fresh vegetables from the farm.
I will.
Yeah.
And you're also welcomed to come for them.
Sawa, asante. So as we wrap the show, it would be nice for you to share with us whether could kitchen gardening be the next food revolution in the urban setup?
Yes, that's the revolution, and I'm glad that also from the policymakers it's starting to make sense. And we understand that, of course, food is the most basic human need. And we've had the launch of the Zero Hunger Initiative. Of course, there was a very nice speech by Chef Kabue.
Chef Kabue.
Yes, Kabue. So he said that food is political. And of course, we are also approaching a political period. So people would use food to control other people. Whoever controls the means of where food is coming from holds the control to other people. So kitchen gardening means taking back that power to ourselves. Anyone who wants the power to eat whatever they want at any given time, they need to start their own kitchen garden. And guided by our motto, which is grow your own, we encourage people, of course, to take the initiative. Do not wait for anyone. You can start with whatever you want. I encourage people to integrate urban waste management with urban agriculture and food production, in that you can use the containers that we have. Every home, of course, has a plastic container. You can start with that. You can get soil from anywhere. Soil is just but a medium, and you can look for a manure. We have people who are keeping poultry here, goats. So you can, if you want, you can start. There's nothing which is limiting you apart from, of course, your mindset and the perceptions. So I believe that there is where the cities are heading, and food production is going to be something that everyone will be doing. Yes.
Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us, and thank you so much to the listeners for listening in. Just to also mention, Greg, you're doing such an amazing job with the communities, and I really hope after this show, everyone who listens, basically everyone who has listened in, to be inspired to start their own kitchen garden. Asanteni sana. Until next time, kwaheri.